Okay, let's dive deep. Today, we're unpacking the life and career of an actor whose face is, well, instantly familiar across generations in India, largely thanks to one absolutely massive defining role.
We're peeling back the layers on Dilip Joshi. And yes, for millions, he is Jethal Champakal Gada from, gosh, that enduring phenomenon that is Taarak Mehta Kulta Chashma. You know, the show on Sony SAB.
And this deep dive is special because you, our listener, brought us the raw material, this whole stack of articles, research, your notes. You challenged us to look beyond Jethalal and really get into Dilip Joshi's full story, his journey, what shaped him, what makes him tick. So that's our mission today, to pull out the key stuff from what you gave us.
Right, because while Jethalal is definitely where most people know him from, these sources you sent make it really clear his career is in Lavrashim.
Well, it's far richer and longer than just that one role. We're talking about someone who started in theater, like incredibly young.
Yeah, and hustled through supporting roles in big films, spent years building his craft before, finding that perfect storm with TMKOC. There are some genuinely surprising bits in this material you've provided.
Okay, let's unpack this incredible journey then.
Yeah.
Where does the story of Dilip Joshi really begin, according to these sources?
The basics first, straight from the notes. Full name, Dilip Joshi, born May 26, 1968, which makes him 57 years old as of today, May 26, 2025.
Ooh, a birthday deep dive. Excellent timing.
It is. Now, birthplace. There's a slight mention of Mumbai in some places, but Porbandar, Gujarat, specifically Gusa village, seems more widely cited, so we'll go with that.
Got it. Porbandar.
Yeah. He's a Gemini Indian nationality from a Gujarati Brahmin Hindu family, and the sources even get into physical details. Around 5'5" tall, about 80 kilograms. Measurements noted are chest 42, waist 36, biceps 12, brown eyes, black hair. Those are the kind of fundamental facts provided.
Okay, that gives us a snapshot. But to understand the actor, we need to go back, like you said, to those roots. Growing up in Gusa village.
Exactly. And here's a lovely detail from the sources. His father was apparently a huge admirer of the legendary actor Dilip Kumar.
Oh, wow.
And he actually named him Dilip after him. It's almost like a little signpost right from the start.
I love that. A direct early connection to acting just baked into his name.
Absolutely. And that connection, it deepened really early on. The sources highlight his passion for performance ignited when he was just 12 years old. He got involved with the Little Theater Academy then.
12.
Yeah. And his teenage years were really shaped by his involvement in Gujarati plays.
And this wasn't just like a casual hobby, was it? The sources suggest it was pretty intense, even impacting his schooling.
Oh, it really did. While he was studying for a Bachelor of Computer Applications, a BCA at NM College in Mumbai, his focus was heavily on theater. The notes mention he won multiple Best Actor awards from the Indian National Theatre, the INT, which is a big deal during those college years. But here's the thing. The sources report he actually failed his Class 12 exams because he was prioritizing rehearsals and performances over studying.
Wow. That kind of dedication, even so young, is really striking. It tells you something about his, I guess, singular focus on acting right from the get-go.
It really does highlight that commitment. He did later go on to train formally at the National School of Drama in Mumbai, properly honing his craft. But even with that training, the path wasn't exactly smooth sailing straight away. The sources reveal a period of real, hustle and struggle before he became famous.
The less glamorous side of show business.
Precisely. Before becoming the household name he is now, he worked backstage for incredibly low wages. The sources mentioned something like 50 rupees per role.
50 rupees?
Yeah. And at one point, he was even a co-owner of a travel agency. This isn't just trivia. It shows his perseverance, right? His willingness to do what it took to stay afloat while chasing the dream, or maybe just to support himself when acting wasn't paying the bills yet.
That's a powerful contrast to the star he is now. It really underscores the long game he played. And that theater background, particularly in Gujarati plays, seems absolutely foundational to the skills we see now.
It was crucial. Those years in Gujarati theater were his real training ground for comedic timing, for dialogue delivery, stage presence. The sources list several notable plays he was in. Babu Tam, Kamal Kari, Jalsakara Jayantilal.
Oh, Jalsakara Jayantilal wasn't Disha Makani, his future TMKOC co-star. Also in that.
That's what the sources say. Interesting connection there, right? Also plays like Shumangal Sabathan, Yeduni Hairanjin, Mary Biwi Wonderful. This extensive stage work clearly gave him a really solid foundation.
So after building that strong base on stage, the next step, according to the sources you provided, was Bollywood.
Yes, he made his film debut with a supporting role in a pretty significant movie, playing Ramu in Main Pirkiya back in 1989.
Main Pirkiya, that was Salman Khan's huge breakthrough film too, wasn't it? So he was kind of in the orbit of future megastars early on.
Exactly, and he went on to appear in a number of other films, often in these character or comedic roles. Hum Aapki Hain Koon in 94.
Yep, remember him in that one too.
Khiladi 420, 1-2 Kai 4, Fir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani. Later films like Duntere Jagoge and What's Your Rashi are also mentioned in the notes. Some sources even mention Farak as a more recent one.
But the sources seem to indicate a shift, a change in focus after around 2009.
They do. His career increasingly centered on television. Now, his TV journey actually began earlier, back in 98, with shows like Kabi Ek Kabi Wo and Hum Sab Ek Haim.
Right.
And over the years, he appeared in over 15 different TV productions, some well-known ones like CID, FIR, even a children's comedy called Agadam Bagdam Tigdam, where he played Uncle Tapu.
Uncle Tapu? Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe a little foreshadowing there.
Maybe. But the role that undeniably changed everything, the one that really catapulted him to national icon status, that arrived in 2008.
The one, the only, Jethalal.
Jethalal Champakwal Gada in Taarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma, TMKOC. The sources tell us the show is based on the column Duniyan Unda Chashma by the writer Taarak Mehta.
And the sheer scale of this show is just staggering. Over 4,000 episodes, the sources say.
It's an extraordinary run, isn't it? One of the longest-running sitcoms anywhere, really. And Dilip Joshi's portrayal of Jethalal, the electronics shop owner, dealing with all the daily ups and downs in Gokuldham Society. It's just central to the show's success, his impeccable comic timing, that unique physical comedy, and the relatability of the character, this kind of middle-class guy, perpetually in minor crises. It just resonated so deeply with audiences. You can really see how all those years in theater honed the exact skills needed for this role.
It really feels like the perfect storm, doesn't it? Training, experience, opportunity, all coming together. And that success hasn't gone unnoticed in terms of awards and stuff.
Not at all. The sources really emphasize the sheer number of awards he's received, specifically for playing Jethalal, over 20 awards in total. Yeah. This impressive list includes 5 Telly Awards, 3 Indian Television Academy Awards, ITA Awards, and a Z Gold Award for Best Actor in a Comic Role. You add that to those college theater awards we mentioned earlier. It shows a pattern of recognized excellence across different stages of his career.
That's quite the track record.
And the sources note he's been consistently winning accolades for TMKOC pretty much since 2009, which speaks volumes about the sustained quality and impact of his performance.
Okay, so we've traced the career path from the theater hustle to becoming this TV icon. What else do the sources reveal about Dilip Joshi, the person beyond the characters?
They strongly highlight his identity as a family man, very family-oriented. He reportedly really values his time with his wife, Jimala, and their 2 children, Niyati and Ritwik.
And the sources mentioned some significant family events recently.
Yes, his daughter Niyati got married back in December 2021, and more recently, just this past December 2023, his son Ritwik married Anadi Gala.
Ah yes, the sources described Ritwik's wedding as quite a lavish ceremony. Took place in Karjat, Maharashtra, December 17th, 2023.
They do. And it's interesting, the sources note Ritwik is actually following a creative path himself. He's a screenwriter, credited with projects like The Insiders, Gulabi, and Commas.
Oh, interesting. Keep it in the creative field.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see that artistic side continue in the next generation. The sources also mention that some of his TMKOC co-stars, including Disha Vakani and Patlak Sinwani, Sachin Shroff, they were among the guests at Ritwik's wedding. That suggests some genuine bonds were formed on that set over the years.
That's nice to hear, that connection extending off screen.
Yeah.
What about his personal interests, hobbies, that kind of thing, according to the sources?
Well, the sources list traveling, particularly road trips, and listening to music as things he enjoys. And here's a fun little echo of his character.
Wow.
Like Jethalal, he reportedly has a real fondness for jalebi fafda, that classic Gujarati snack.
Huh? A simple pleasure connecting the actor and the character. The sources also mentioned a spiritual dimension to his life.
Yes, they mention his affiliation with the BAPS Swaminarayan Sanstha, apparently since around 2008. One notable event highlighted was his attendance at the foundation stone-laying ceremony for the BAPS Hindu temple in Abu Dhabi. That was in February 2024.
Right, I remember reading that.
The sources say he actually spoke there, praising the whole initiative and its significance for, fostering harmony. He's also often pictured, according to the notes, wearing a red tikka when he's not in character, which reflects his cultural and spiritual background.
That adds another important layer to the picture we're building here. And based on the various reports you have, how do the sources describe his actual personality?
The traits listed include things like practical, methodical, sensitive, generous, hardworking, studious, also described as calculative, realistic, and ambitious. Interestingly, some sources also note a tendency towards being a bit stubborn.
It sounds like a mix of maybe grounded practicality, but also that ambitious drive.
Yeah.
Do any of the stories we've talked about maybe illustrate some of those traits, like the perseverance during the early hustle, showing the hardworking and ambitious sides?
Absolutely. And his dedication to theater, despite, failing exams, that speaks to the studious and focused aspect, maybe? The sheer consistency needed for TMKOC over 4,000 episodes. That definitely aligns with methodical and hardworking.
Yeah, true.
And perhaps the reported firmness in dismissing certain rumors, well, some might see that as stubbornness, while others might just call it standing his ground.
That's a fair point. Now, the sources also touch on something almost inevitable with that level of fame.
Yeah.
Controversies. And it's really crucial, as always, to state that we're just relaying what the source's report was said or rumored. We're not verifying these claims ourselves. This is simply what's in the material you provided.
Right, absolutely. Transparency is key. One instance mentioned is some criticism regarding an improvised dialogue in TMKOC. It reportedly caused some backlash, particularly from female viewers, and was apparently removed from the show afterwards. So an on-screen moment that sparked a public reaction.
Okay. What else is noted in that vein?
Well, there were reports, or rather rumors, of an altercation with the show's producer, Asit Kumar Modi. There were suggestions that Joshi was considering leaving the show because of it.
Right.
However, the sources you provided explicitly state that Dilip Joshi himself denied those specific reports.
Okay, so rumors met with his denial. And there was another reported issue involving his on-screen son.
Yes, there were rumors flying around about some sort of disagreement or tiff between Dilip Joshi and Rajan Adkat, who played Tapu for a while. Again, the sources note that Joshi dismissed these rumors pretty firmly, calling them fake news.
It definitely seems like navigating that intense public scrutiny, managing rumors,
Yeah.
it's just part of the territory at that level of fame.
It certainly appears to be. The sources also bring us up to speed with some more recent public appearances and milestones.
We already covered his son's wedding in December 2023 and his attendance at that BAPS temple event in Abu Dhabi in February 2024.
Correct. And most recently, his 57th birthday, just today, May 26, 2025, was widely noted. Reports mention posts on platforms like X celebrating him as a TV superstar. And interestingly, some reports specifically credited his significant success, at least in part, to his wife Jamala's support over the years.
Recognizing the role of his partner, that's a nice detail. And he connects with people online too, doesn't he?
He does. He's active on Instagram. The handle is @Makasam Dilip Joshi. The sources mention he uses this platform to share updates, often referencing his iconic character, naturally, and connecting directly with his massive fan base.
So, looking at everything we've pulled from this stack of sources you gave us, from being named after a legend, the passionate theater kid failing exams, the backstage hustler, the film supporting actor, the prolific TV artist, to the absolute cultural phenomenon of Jethalal, what's the overarching story here? What's his legacy shaping up to be?
What's really insightful, I think, is the complete picture his journey presents. It's not just about hitting it big with one role, however massive. It's a narrative of decades spent honing a very specific craft, mostly in theater comedy, through periods of struggle and, frankly, lesser-known work.
Yeah.
His transformation from that young enthusiast in Gujarati plays to arguably the most recognizable face on Indian television. It highlights remarkable talent, yes, but maybe even more, incredible perseverance and adaptability across different mediums.
It's a real testament to the idea that deep foundational training can pay off in unexpected ways, even if you have to wait a long time for it. Jethalal became the perfect vehicle for all those honed comedic skills, didn't it? Solidifying his legacy as one of India's truly beloved and enduring actors.
Exactly. The sources confirm that beyond the character, his story is really one of dedication and resilience. It's quite inspiring, really, for anyone sticking with their passion. His impact as Jethalal has just made him such a cherished figure in Indian households.
Okay, that was a truly comprehensive look at Dilip Joshi, going far beyond just the familiar face of Jethalal, and all thanks to the fantastic sources you provided. We've explored his early life, the huge role theater played, the grind of his early career, his steps into Bollywood and TV, the defining success of TMKOC, his well-deserved recognition, and even got a glimpse into his personal life, his values, recent activities.
Hopefully, this deep dive has given you, our listener, a much fuller, more nuanced understanding of the man behind that legendary character, the dedication, the whole journey, and the person who's brought so much sustained laughter to literally millions.
We really did manage to unpack the depth of his career and life, seeing how all those different pieces fit together. It's quite a story.
And maybe this leaves us with a final thought to kind of mull over. How does someone navigate the sheer pressure and public eye that comes with being so incredibly identified with one iconic character for, over 15 years now? What kind of internal strength, perhaps drawn from those personal and spiritual foundations we touched on, is required to maintain both that professional consistency and personal balance over such a long, intense period in the spotlight?
That's a powerful question to end on. A remarkable journey indeed. Thank you so much for sharing these sources with us and letting us take this deep dive today.